do loading exercises help plantar fasciitis? So some people are prescribed loading exercises by podiatrists or physiotherapists or other health professionals as part of their treatment plan to help with plantar fasciitis. So loading exercises means that you're deliberately loading the tissue which is injured. So in this case, obviously we're referring to the plantar fascia. So the purpose of the loading is to build up tolerance of the level of stress that the tissue can tolerate. So we're trying to increase load capacity. Another benefit potentially of doing loading exercises is that we're also going to strengthen surrounding tissues, so strengthening other muscles around the plantar fascia, which may also be beneficial. So as I've mentioned in other videos, the plantar fascia is largely responsible for supporting the arch of the foot. However, it's not the only structure which supports the arch of the foot. We have lots of muscles within the foot itself and muscles in the lower leg which can then connect directly into the foot as well. So there's lots of other muscle activity helping support the arch of the foot. If these muscles are particularly weak or underdeveloped, then what that might lead to is increased load on the plantar fascia, as the plantar fascia is going to have to pick up the slack. It's going to have to work harder because the underdeveloped muscles aren't doing their part of the job. So if we strengthen these muscles, that might help decrease the load on the plantar fascia as the demand is being shared, so the workload is being spread out through various tissues. So this is one argument as to why loading exercises can help with plantar fasciitis. So what is a loading exercise, or how do you do a loading exercise? Well, there are lots of ways to do it because there are lots of different muscles in the lower limb and the foot and ankle. So you might be prescribed strengthening exercises which might be targeting certain muscle groups, and this might be based on the fact that certain muscle groups have been identified to be weak, and this will be very different from person to person. So what's most helpful if you're considering doing loading exercises is that they are specific to your individual needs, and usually this would involve you having to see a suitably qualified health professional to determine this and then prescribe a bespoke program for you. Another thing to consider with loading exercises is that sometimes it can exacerbate the symptoms. So if you're doing a common loading exercise such as calf raises, which is where you go up onto the balls of the feet using your calf muscles to elevate your heels and then slowly lowering the heels back down to the ground. This is called a calf raising exercise, and this will load the plantar fascia, and it will also load various muscles in the foot, ankle and lower leg. Now, if the plantar fascia is already excessively strained, sometimes this exercise can be provocative, so it can irritate symptoms, and if you choose to ignore this and try and work through it, then it can lead to further deterioration and make your symptoms worse. So loading exercises aren't necessarily always the best thing, and this is where the principle of timing comes involved. So when to introduce this into a treatment program is important. So for some people, it's the right thing to do. It just needs to be done at the right time. And if it's not done at the right time, then it can have a negative effect instead of having a positive effect. So it's very hard to determine if you haven't seen anybody professionally about this, whether you should or shouldn't be doing these sorts of exercises. So as a general rule of thumb, if you are doing any loading exercises, if it's painful, and the pain is unbearable, then it's advisable that you stop doing that exercise, as you're probably not doing yourself any favours. However, what is considered okay is a tolerable level of discomfort. So if you develop some discomfort whilst doing a loading exercise, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have a negative effect. It just means that you're near the limit of tissue capacity. So tissue capacity is what the tissue can currently tolerate. You hopefully will find that your tissue capacity will improve over time. So as certain muscles start to become stronger and you continuously work on loading the plantar fascia, your load tolerance can increase. So if your load tolerance increases, it might mean that you can do more exercises, so performing more repetitions, and generally the lower limb might become stronger. So when you then make a gradual return to certain activities that you've had to stop doing, such as long distance walking or running, if your lower limb muscles are more robust and strong and the tissue capacity has increased, then you might find that you can do these exercises without exacerbating your plantar fasciitis symptoms. So yes, loading exercises can be helpful for plantar fasciitis. I hope you found this video educational and informative, and of course helpful. If you are looking for further free resources, please check out the website www.theheelpainexpert.com. Thanks for watching.